It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News. For this, the 30th day of January 2020, I'm coming to you from Forest, Virginia in Bedford County near Lynchburg with today's episode of Travel and Cruise Industry News. Before we get to the news, and folks, there's not a whole lot of news this morning. This is an update show basically on things that have been controlling the space for some time now, but there's just that's the way it happens sometimes. But I wanted to touch on a couple things before we get to today's stories. Day before yesterday, I was, I hate to say lucky enough, but I was in the right place at the right time when the tsunami warnings were issued from the earthquake that occurred down in right off the coast of Jamaica. And literally, I was able to go live, had the information at hand and went live literally within minutes of the tsunami warning being issued, which put me in a different position than this channel has ever been in as far as getting a lot of mileage from that story. We had just shy of 9,000 views. I had 87 new subscribers. So it was by far the biggest day that my channel has ever had. And for that, folks, I appreciate especially all you new guys that might be here for the first time. We are regularly Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings get together and talk about travel and cruise industry news. We also regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, including the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, my interview shows, which I'll have some news on that shortly, called Chillie Chats. And of course, this space, 6 a.m. on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Now, so we've just finished the biggest day this channel has ever had. And for that, I am really thankful, folks. I do appreciate it. And all you new folks, I hope you will join in and participate. We have a lot of guys that get here and chat and chat back and forth as I'm running my mouth. Some of our regulars. Now, this is probably not a good time to throw this out, but I'm going to do it anyway. One of the things that happened since Tuesday afternoon is I had a rather lengthy discussion with another YouTuber about how things are going and what we're both doing with our channels. And he took a look at this channel and to analyze it a little bit on how I can continue and speed up my growth and all those kind of things. And one of his suggestions was that I may want to consider a more popular hour than 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That, yeah, I have a few of our regular people that are here all the time, but it's not the best time as far as viewership, that I might consider something different. So I go back to when I started this craziness. The reason that I started doing an early morning AM show was mainly because our friend Bruce at Traveling by Bruce was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And at that time, he was doing it 6 days a week, I believe, in the afternoon drive time, if you want to call it that. And I said, okay, well, I'll do my show early in the morning. I'm a night owl to start with. I'm up don't sleep real well. So I said, well, we'll do a 6 a.m. show. And I certainly appreciate you guys that are here at this ungodly hour. Keep in mind that for me, getting ready to do a 6 a.m. news show, I might be up at 2 a.m. researching and putting together copy and stuff for a 6 a.m. show. So that doesn't help my sleeping any. So I am considering this, guys, and I ask for your opinions. You guys all know my feelings about collectively you guys, and I appreciate your wisdom and thoughts. And I'll throw this out. What would you guys think of me moving this show to a different time? Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I have not made any kind of decision yet. I'm looking maybe at a mid-afternoon kind of thing, about the time like I did the live stream on the earthquake and the tsunami warnings yesterday, somewhere in that kind of time frame. No decision, no real serious thought about moving it yet, but I throw that out, and I would welcome your thoughts and comments concerning that. All right, since we're talking about the success of that show, or that live stream on Tuesday with the tsunami warnings, my update on the earthquake and the tsunami was it fizzled. I mean, it was a horrible earthquake, 7.7. It struck 86 miles northwest of Jamaica Tuesday afternoon. The seismic activity was felt as far as the panhandle of Florida. The earthquake and ensuing aftershocks opened sinkholes in the Cayman, swayed buildings from Jamaica to downtown Miami. It was a nasty earthquake, but very minimal damage. The biggest damage that I've been able to track down so far was a number of sinkholes in the Cayman Islands. And the Cayman Islands is all on sand. You know, they don't have a good stable base underneath. So, you know, there was some minor damage in Jamaica. There's some road damage and things like that. Same in Cuba. Of course, we can't really get a handle on Cuba now because we're not there like we were a couple years ago. But anyway, there was no reports of loss of life. There was no reports of major damage at this point. There still could be aftershocks from a quake this big. The tsunami itself, when I went on live on Tuesday afternoon, they were thinking about a possibility of a 3.5 foot wave, basically additional surging wave of water throughout most of the Caribbean, affecting, of course, Jamaica, Cuba, and then across to the west coast of the east coast of Mexico, Belize, Honduras. That whole, just basically a 3-foot wave that just rolls on in. And that would be enough to have caused some damage. Well, it kind of fizzled. It did not get to the kind of levels that they at first thought. Clearly, the warning was right to do. But after a strong earthquake like that, the folks along the coastal areas had to be aware of it and be prepared just in case. So, I stand by my reporting from that and from what the officials did in issuing the warning. It's kind of interesting to look at why this all happened. It's a slip fault like San Andreas, according to an earth science professor at Florida National University. North America moves a bit to the west, and the Caribbean moves a bit to the east, and it causes the earthquake. All three of the Cayman Islands experienced the effect of the initial earthquake, even though it was about 80 miles from Georgetown, and multiple aftershocks, which have kept the residents and governmental officials they're on high alert. But again, no major damage. Folks, I think we all got lucky on this one, quite frankly. Puerto Rico has had some earthquakes, not even as strong as this, and it's done tremendous damage there. So I think we really got lucky that the biggest damage is from some sinkholes in the Caymans. So that's a good thing. The rest of the damage throughout the Caribbean is reasonably minor. There's still a possibility of further aftershock activities. I'm heading down that way. As a matter of fact, I'll leave here tomorrow. I'm driving, so you will know, I'm driving up to Washington. I fly out of Reagan National Airport on Saturday morning to Fort Lauderdale, where I will be boarding the Zuider Dam on Saturday afternoon. And it's a Jamaica cruise. We're going to Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cozumel. So I'm going to be right down in the middle of that. And thankfully, it looks like there's not effects and damage that should affect my cruise at all, unless there's further activities. They certainly could happen. They could happen at any time. If you're on a cruise ship, there were some questions about this. If you're actually on a cruise ship, that's probably the safest place to be in an earthquake, unless, there's a major tsunami as a result of it, because the ship itself isn't going to hurt anything. It just goes with the flow. It might feel like a little bit rougher seas for a few minutes. And all the ships that were in the area when this happened most of them were in dock for the day, and there was very minimal problems on any of the ships. So it really was a non-factor in the travel and cruise industry. It could have been way worse than it was. So thankfully that happened. All right, we're going to stop for a half a second here for a word from one of my partners. Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scootaround. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scootaround for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise. All right, back at you. A little sip of coffee here. Of course, you guys know that Scootaround is, I use them myself. I have scooters set for both my cruises here the next couple weeks. Good folks. Let's look real quick at comments before we go on with the last couple stories. Tom Henry says, good morning to everybody. Bonnie is with us. She says, are you packed yet? Bonnie, are you out of your mind? No. I'll pack about 15 minutes before I leave. I hate to say that, but that's true. I have everything basically ready, but yeah, throwing it in the suitcase, I don't spend a whole lot of time with that. As long as I got my bathing suit, hell, I don't care much beyond that. But anyway, I'll be leaving. I did something because I started looking at this, and I've got to be at the airport at 6 a.m. on Saturday. So it's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here to Washington National if you don't have any traffic issues. Going into Washington, D.C., there's just as likely traffic issues that are awful. So I was sitting here yesterday morning, and I'm thinking, man, why don't we just go up Friday? I don't have anything else scheduled that day. and get a motel. And I thought, well, motels in D.C. short term, they're going to be expensive as crap. But so I pulled up Booking.com. I don't know, and folks, I have nothing to do with these folks. But if you're ever looking for a motel, especially a hotel around an airport, go to Booking.com because they come up with some of the daggondest deals I've ever heard of. And I make nothing from that, folks. I don't know who they are. I just actually, my niece told me to try them if I ever need a hotel. So I put in, a hotel near Washington National Airport. I got a hotel room Saturday night for $60. I mean, that's ridiculous. I thought it was going to be, $200 at least. $60. So I'm going to leave here. I'll probably get up in the morning and pack, and roll out noon, go on up, drive up into the afternoon. Then I don't have to drive at night, which is the older I get, the harder it is for me to drive at night. And get up there, have dinner, have a nice, get a little sleep, go to the airport fresh as opposed to going to the airport after I've driven all night, and get on the plane to Fort Lauderdale. I'll be a lot better off that day down there. I won't be near as tired, which means I'll enjoy the first day of the cruise even more. So I'll be going up and staying in the Washington, D.C. area. Americana Hotel is the name of the hotel. $60. I couldn't believe it. Let's see. Who else is here this morning? Gretchen says, morning, Tom and Bonnie. Hi, Gretchen. Mike Julian is with us today. Is everything okay? I'm just joining in. Yeah, Mike, the tsunami fizzled. It wasn't near as bad as we thought. Very minimal damage throughout all the Caribbean. Good deal. It was just excellent. Bonnie says hi to Gretchen and Mike. Bonnie says some Chillie is talking about the big earthquake near Jamaica. Yeah, he's Mike was with us on Tuesday also, Bonnie, so you know that. Bonnie says, I have to worry about hurricanes and now earthquakes too. Well, yeah, that's something that was surprising to me about feeling it in Florida. That's something that they normally don't do down there. So, yeah, that's unusual. Chillie, you always look so debonair when you fly in your sports coat. Yeah, ready for formal life. Yeah, that's the only time I ever wear a damn sport coat when I have to. I don't do debonair very well anymore. I used to when I was younger. The older I get, what kind of coffee do I drink? This happens to be this plain old Maxwell House. I've got some. Excuse me, my niece has some Costa Rican coffee in there, which I still enough to do a pot from her every now and then. I just drink coffee. No, I only drink it in the morning. Once I have my 2 or 3 cups here, that's it. Tom Henry wants to know if the hotel I've got comes free with free bed bugs. Hell, Tom, I don't know. It looks okay online. Of course, they're certainly not going to show bed bugs on their website. We'll find out, but for $60, hell, who cares? Anyway, so I'm going to, yes, and Tom says, YDC JetBlue from Richmond is terrific. Actually, the only reason, Tom, was that, and I'm flying JetBlue, it was cheaper. No real reason. Yeah, I can be in Richmond. By the time I get all the way out to Richmond Airport, it's almost not as long as it is to DC, but close. I looked at Richmond. You can't fly from Lynchburg, which is my closest airport, or Roanoke, which is an hour away, without paying through the nose. I mean, they royally rip you off. So most of the time, especially on cruises, when I'm trying to put together a budget, I have to go away from here to fly anyplace. So, all right, one other story to get to this morning, and I'll come back to for further chats. Oh yeah, when I was talking about the earthquake, I was going to flash up some pictures, of sinkholes. That's, even though it's a little fuzzy, that's in Grand Cayman. That's a little bit better. That's the major damage is the stuff like that, and not all that much of that. So we're lucky. All right. The other thing, of course, is the coronavirus. And I'm sick and tired of talking about coronavirus again. But there keeps being developments on it, and some of it I understand, some of it I don't understand. The Royal Caribbean has canceled another cruise that was not previously announced, the Spectrum of the Seas. And of course, because of the spread of the coronavirus in China. But the Spectrum of the Seas departure from Shanghai on the 27th, that was earlier this week, a 4-day departure on the 31st, and another departure on the 4th have all been canceled. I understand why, folks. And I don't understand why it's taken so long for these people to come up with a good plan of attack on starting to curb this thing. But it is. Currently, the last numbers I saw, and this is subject to all kinds of change because there's all kinds of questions on the reporting of such, as there's about 6,100 people affected, 132 deaths, mainly in China, although it is now spread to around the globe, actually, United States, France, Australia, all over the place. So they have, the Royal Caribbean has canceled another cruise. Then yesterday, Norwegian and they sent a message out to all of the travel agents worldwide that they will start denying boarding for passengers who have been to China in the last 30 days. So even if you're not from China, you're not from Wuhan province, you're not from anywhere over there, but you have traveled to China in the last 30 days, that will, Norwegian is now going to stop you from boarding their cruise ships. I am expecting there's going to be more of that. Of course, they have to get into refunds and all that kind of thing, but they got to look at the safety of other people. Just the day before yesterday, British Airways suspended all flights to and from China. President Trump is considering a similar move in the United States, stopping all access from airfare to and from China. And this puts him over a pickle. And folks, again, you guys know that I do not make political commentary on this channel, pro or against, unless it's specifically something that I'm opposed to or in favor of as it directly affects travel and cruise industry. But I can see where this is a pickle because, the president is and his administration is in the middle of this trade negotiation with China, and the second stage of that, after they had their agreement earlier this month, and now he's looking at banning air flights from China and into China. And I'm sure that, even though I understand why, I can certainly understand why but I could see where that's putting his negotiation folks in a pickle on that one. So they have not banned flights yet, but I know that is under active consideration in the White House right now. So where's this going? Who knows? It just continues to be a story because it keeps spreading. It keeps more people affected, and everybody's making steps to try to keep the spread of it. Then any of us traveling, I mean, you got to consider who's in the seat next to you on the airplane, or who's in the cabin next to you on the cruise ship, and where have they been? So I can understand what Norwegian is doing. I can understand, what other governments are doing. But until they get a handle on it and get some way of getting this thing eradicated. Now, the one thing that just totally confused me about all the stories, and folks, when I say all the stories, I must have read 14 or 15 stories specifically about this through the night last night. Several of the cruise lines, including Celebrity, Holland American, and Seabourn, are refusing to cancel voyages which call on ports in China, even though the concerns grow on the spread of the Wuhan coronavirus. I'm not sure why I understand these companies that are saying, no, we're still going into China. I think that's running a big risk. But maybe it's a monetary thing. I can certainly see how this is affecting cruise ships, cruise lines, their bottom line. They're losing a hell of a lot of money over this whole thing. And this, of course, was this Chinese New Year. This was an important period of the travel year out of China. So it just, who knows, folks? Who knows where it's going to go, how long it's going to end, or what's going to become of any of this. So it's an ongoing issue, and will continue to be until this thing starts reversing, whatever that is. So again, take all the steps, be careful, wash your hands a lot, don't put your fingers in your eyes and nose and mouth and stuff. The typical things that you need to be aware of and be careful of, especially traveling like I'm going to be. So, all right, the next thing is what we're planning on doing on the cruise. Because we don't know 100% whether or not the technical issues are going to work until I get there. There is, and the experts that I've talked to about this, especially wanting to do a ship-to-ship with our friend Jason, who's going to be on the Panorama the same time I'm on the Zutterdam. We're going to try it. We tentatively are setting up to try a Chillie Chats on Monday about 10:30. That'll be Pacific Standard Time. Jason will be going into Cabo San Lucas that day on the Carnival Panorama, and I will actually be at sea that day. So that'll be about 1:30 or so Eastern Time. We're going to attempt a Chillie Chats. There's a whole issue on bandwidth on ships and Wi-Fi signals and all this crap, and it's got to work together. And it's way over my head technically, but we're going to try it and see how it works. So just keep looking for Chillie Chats, which will be on Monday afternoon Eastern Time, early 1:30-ish and 10:30-ish Pacific Time, where Jason will be. We're going to try it. Other than that, I'm going to try to at least do a live stream every day from both the Zutter Dam and then from the Carnival Sunrise when I switch ships after a week. It could be the news shows. It could be just sitting out by the pool and going live on what's happening on the ship that day. Who knows? Whatever comes to mind, we'll try. Again, until I'm actually there and know if the signal and so forth is going to work, we can't. The only experience I have is with Tom Henry, that we did our Chillie chats, and he was at sea on the Norwegian Sun, and it worked fine. So we'll see how things go with my ships. Okay, let's see. Checking on comments. Wuhan's a big province, but China's a big country. This has already affected Beijing. One patient flying into the U.S. Yeah. There's just a big mess. And it's all, how this thing all started in that one town is beyond me, but it certainly seems to. It certainly keeps keeps expanding. So anyway, what else we got here? Bonnie's looking forward to seeing me on the Zutter Dam by a live stream and on the Sunrise, which I heard some people love, some people hate. I've heard that too. Of course, the Sunrise used to be the Carnival. Was that the Triumph or the Miracle? I don't know. One of the older ships, and was renamed and completely redone. I have not been on it. I was on the old ship, a long time ago. So Gretchen says, bon voyage. Looking forward to seeing you on board Saturday and ship the ship on Monday. We're going to try. And, if it works, great. If it doesn't, okay, it doesn't work. So we'll see. Anyway, that's going to wrap us up this morning, guys. Glad you are all with me. Again, if you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. As always, I appreciate a thumbs up. We had a lot of those from Tuesday, a lot. We had a lot of comments, and I do appreciate that. Like I say, that's the biggest day that this channel has ever had. So even though it was under bad circumstances, I was lucky enough to be at the right place at the right time and got literally on the air quickly with a major story. So I do appreciate that. Anyway, as always, we do appreciate the thumbs up and comments from you guys. If you have not subscribed to this channel, that's down in the lower right-hand corner. Click on that subscribe button, and you'll be notified if you hit the bell notification when we go live, which is going to be a crazy schedule for the next 2 weeks, as I'm going to be on a couple cruises. And also when I post videos, which I won't be posting many videos from down there because it's more difficult to edit, I don't think, but we'll see. And then if some of you might want to follow me on Facebook, because I'll be posting a lot of stuff on Facebook as we go from the ships as well. And that's down in the description. There's all the stuff down below, down there. That's down there on links to Facebook and all that stuff. So I welcome you there too, folks. So no news show Saturday because I'm going to be at the airport. I will go live for the first time on Saturday afternoon-ish somewhere from on board the Zutter Dam. So no 6 a.m. show on Saturday. And then we'll do daily broadcasts of some type. We'll try our Chillie chats with our friend Jason Garland on Monday. And then we'll have our regular 6 a.m. new show on Tuesday from on board the Zutterdam. Again, thanks, folks, for being with me. As always, I appreciate all you guys, and I would love comments on what your thoughts are on the possibility of moving this space to an afternoon time slot. Again, don't know yet. Thinking about it. Let me know what you think, pro or con, because I appreciate your opinions. All right, guys, that's it. I will see you guys from the Zutterdam next, I suppose. So this is Chillie the Fat Guy on his way very soon.
Thank you for watching today's travel and cruise industry news. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.